Alright, welcome back guys. Today we're going to be talking kind of about a couple different things all in one video, but mostly we're going to be talking about optic height and different mounts that are out there, kind of in the budget realm, or ways that you can get, higher optics, kind of like this one here or some of these for a significantly lower price. So all of these mounts are budget options for if you want a higher optic mount, but you don't want to pay 100 to upwards of, I've seen some mounts for about $250 just for a piece of aluminum, which to me is ridiculously stupid. But, I digress. These are options out there for those of you who don't want to spend that kind of money, or if you just want to buy something cheap to try it out to see if you actually like the height itself. Because obviously you may not like this height, but you may like this height, but you may not like that height. It's just kind of personal preference, how long your neck is. If you have a giraffe neck, then something like this would be good. Or if you have a little short stubby neck, maybe you want something like this or something like that. So it just kind of depends on you. But this is kind of just different options in my experiences and kind of opinions on optic height. Also, if you wouldn't mind, let me know how the sound sounds on this video, because I've plugged in a mic to my iPhone jack, but whenever I did that on my old iPhone, it made like a weird clicking sound that I could hear in the video. So if you notice any weird sounds or anything, let me know, or just let me kind of know how the sound quality is compared to my other videos, and I'll just go based off your recommendation on whether or not I'll use this mic from now on. But anyways, so the different options that I have out here are budget friendly, I guess I should say. So some of these, like this one right here, this is a knockoff of the Unity Tactical. This is their, the high mount. This one right here is also a knockoff of the Unity Tactical, and I'll talk about the brand itself for those. Have no idea how to pronounce it. I'm assuming it's Phoking, but I mean, you say that slowly or pronounce it slightly different, and you get a little chuckle out of it. But I don't know if they did that on purpose or if that was just a happy accident. But anyways, I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, so that's who makes these. I got them off Amazon. You can buy them off eBay. I mean, everybody makes them at this point. I'm sure they all come from the same manufacturer in China, but they all just slap their name on it. But I will say that some of the reviews I've seen on Amazon for some of them are good and some of them are bad. So I would buy from one that has, higher stars rating versus one that has lower star ratings, because I've actually bought two of these, and I'll show you these first. So this, is just an Eotech knockoff. It's a airsoft version. I think AK Fire makes this, if I remember correctly. They're fantastic for, airsoft, or for if you do force on force training and you don't want to sacrifice an actual Eotech, slap this on your gun and it'll hold 0 for sims or UTMs just fine. But I put this on here just as kind of a reference, because it's a QD. It's a copy of the EXPS2, or actually the EXPS3, because it has a night vision button that obviously does not work. It just changes the reticle from green to red. But I have this on here as a reference point so you can kind of see height differences. So this one right here is going to be a lower 1/3 height, which, if you're not using night vision, it's probably adequate for pretty much all your scenarios. Even if you are using night vision, you can make it work. It's just not ideal, especially if you have stuff behind it that's kind of, taking up space. You're going to want that red dot up a little bit higher. But if you're not worried about, night vision or anything along those lines, this might be a good height option for you. You're going to have to try it out for yourself. So again, I question how useful this video will be. It's just going to be my opinion. This one right here is mounted on the Unity copy. Obviously, the Unity one itself is, I think, around $100. This one, made again by that company, I'll put links to all this stuff below, was about $12, I think. I want to say it was 12 bucks. Anyways, somewhere around there, and it's a just normal piece of aluminum. You can kind of see the other side over here has regular hex screws on there, which is nice. They're not, Allen keys that strip out, so that's a good touch. The aluminum on there it doesn't feel like it's anodized. It feels like it's painted, and you can kind of see how shiny it is. So do I care? No, I bought it just to try it out. So side note, I did buy two of these. The first one I bought from another company that had lower rankings on Amazon, and it turned out to where this aluminum piece right here that clamps onto the side was off center, like it wasn't milled or cast correctly, however they make it. And whenever you mounted this onto the Picatinny rail, if let's say that you're looking down the sights and this is the top of the Picatinny rail, it was cockeyed like this. Not obviously not to that degree, but it was, a little bit cockeyed. So I had to return that one, and the second one that I bought is perfectly fine. It's well, it's level, so I don't have a problem with this one. But just know you might get a lemon if you buy one of the cheaper ones. Could have just been a lemon, a bad batch. I have no idea. But so anyways, my experience with this is I've shot it a little bit. I haven't shot it a lot, but I will say if you have a absolute co-witness height like this Eotech, this is a XPS2, you're going to want something to raise it up, because this honestly is too low for most people's faces. I mean, if you're just a dude that has, you know, massive shoulders, you know, you work out all the time, but you have a tiny itty bitty neck like half the football, you know, the NFL does, it might work okay for you, because, you know, your head's down close to the bore anyways. But for most people out there, you're going to want probably something of this height. And some of the options I'm going to show you later, like this one right here, this is a little UTG Pic rail section. It just raises it like maybe a ½ inch or something like that. It's not much. I don't think that would be enough for this one. This to me is the perfect height combination for this, and I'll show you a little bit later. It's a little bit lower than this one over here, but I would say if you're just going for something kind of a do-all option, this would be the way to go. Now, I believe that this Unity copy right here is actually, sorry, my arm's getting tired holding this thing up. I believe the Unity copy is their lower one. The Unity makes 2 different heights. I think this is a copy of the shorter one. So you could get the taller one and mount it even higher, and it would probably be closer to the one back there, but I think it would be a smidgen taller. So, I mean, again, it's going to be kind of personal preference. Depends on how tall you want it. For me, though, this height is perfectly fine. Whenever I'm shouldering it, I actually like it quite a bit. It's significantly better than just having, obviously, an XPS3, and it's way better than having just the absolute co-witness height. So to me, if you already have this optic, I would go ahead and grab this. And again, for $12, you can try it out, see if you like it. And if you don't like it, you know, order off Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime, free shipping. If you don't, free return shipping. So who really cares? It just, you know, costs you a drive down to the UPS store. So not a big deal. Well worth trying out and buying this if you need it. So also, this is a UTG magnifier. It's just a UTG little pic rail section. And this pic rail section is like $10 off Amazon. And this is the rail section that I have on both of those things over here that I'll show you in a second. But again, for $10, works fantastic. And it mounts, it actually has Torx screws. So that's good. I've read reviews of some people stripping those out. So whenever you tighten them down, you know, tighten them down. Don't over tighten them. They're screwing into aluminum, so, you know, you kind of get what you pay for at that point. But this is a really good way to, you know, raise your magnifier on something. And here, you can actually see the height difference right there of the two. It's just a smidgen taller. But that UTG is going to be a good option to raise most magnifiers up there, because, again, you're going to have to buy probably the Unity. Is the only one that I know of that gets it high enough off the ground, because all of these magnifiers I have on here are as high as they can get with their spacers, and they weren't tall enough to match any of these, you know, kind of taller ones. Now, if you go with one like that up there, you're going to have to buy the Unity. I actually have a knockoff of the Unity, the magnifier risers, whatever you want to call it, you know, where it kind of pops down and then pops back up in line. It doesn't make your magnifier pop off to the side. The only problem with those is they're only, well, one, it's a knockoff, so it's only like 50 or 60 bucks, which again is a fifth of the cost of the actual one. So just to try it out, see if I like it, you know, why not? Plus I can make a review on it, help you all out. But the problem with those is they only work with certain mounts, so they won't work with my Holosun. They obviously won't work with this. They won't work with, I forgot what other magnifiers I've used in the past. They might work with all those Chinese made ones that I have. I'll try those and see. But they only work with certain, you know, footprints, patterns, or whatever you want to call it, so they won't work with the ones that I have. So I had to come up with some type of solution to raise my magnifiers, and that's what I did with the UTG. I was like, well, shoot, for 10 bucks, let's just buy a couple of them, see if they work. And turns out they work fantastic, and UTG makes fairly decent stuff for the price. If you you know, ugga-bugga the screws on there, yeah, you might strip them out, but, I mean, torque them correctly, and you shouldn't have a problem. And if you do, again, just return it. 10 bucks, exchange it, not a big deal. If you are interested, or if you already have an EXPS3 or an EXPS2, you know, the non-night vision compatible one. Sorry, got the hiccups. This would probably be a good option for you. Now you can see behind here, let me put my hand back there. You can see there's a gap down there at the bottom. That doesn't affect really anything. It bothers my OCD a little bit because I wish the Picatinny rail section went like 2 more down so it would actually, you know, look like it filled in. You could put another section in between right here, but that's just more weight that really doesn't do anything, because the clamp on the bottom of a EXPS series with their quick detach, it only clamps in this section right here. So it's as solid as it needs to be. I just don't like how it looks. So if that bothers you, there you can see it better. If that bothers you, you know, go with something else, spend more money. But for $10, I don't care how it looks, at least not enough to spend more money. So this, I would say, is my overall favorite option when it comes to height, including over that back there, which I'll talk about that in a minute. This raises it high enough to where without night vision, it doesn't feel unnatural, but I still feel like I get a good cheek weld, and the upright head position does feel better. I will say that. And again, this lines up the Holosun with that UTG mount. You can see right there. It lines it up just about right. Obviously, you're going to have to adjust the focus, their centering of that, because it's not perfectly in line with this. It's just slightly low, but it works just fine. I don't notice any of the outside rim of the Eotech when looking through here, because I centered it on the dot. So this is my favorite out of shooting. I haven't done tons and tons and tons of shooting. Obviously, most of my shooting has been done on an EXPS2, so I don't have it with me, but I have an actual EXPS2 that I used to have on this. And if you watched the channel for a while, you know that that's what used to be on here. Well, I upgraded because I bought night vision, and on my old night vision, the Gen 1, I could get away with not having an NVG setting on my red dot. With this one, I can't. Or with the Gen 3s, obviously you can't. I mean, you can if you're using IR illumination, but without it, it's just too bright. But so anyways, I had to fork out the money and buy this. If you are looking to buy a night vision optic, it's hard to beat an Eotech. This thing is just so clear looking through NVGs, especially the Gen 3s. There's really no tint whatsoever whenever you're aiming through it. I mean, you notice that you're aiming through something, but it doesn't block hardly any light. Versus all the other options like Holosuns or all the other ones that I've used, they block light to some degree, where it kind of looks like I would say it's about half as bright. Looking through there is what you're actually seeing through the nod. So it kind of looks like everything's in shadow, which is kind of annoying. It's still usable, but the Eotech is far superior to all the other ones when it comes to light transmission. But again, when I was using night vision with the Holosun, obviously folded out of the way, I could aim through here just fine, right and left-handed. It wasn't a big deal. So again, kind of jumping the gun here, but this is going to be my favorite option all around for the price. So if you have any questions, again, put them down in the comments below, and I'll try to answer everything I can. So here is my newest acquisition, whatever you want to call it, my newest option that I just got. Again, this is a Unity Tactical knockoff. It's not the real thing. I found this on Amazon, and I want to say it was around $22, something like that, versus the Unity is like 200 bucks. So again, for the price, could be hard to beat this. And I have a Holosun. Obviously, it's a 403B. All right, so obviously this fits on an Aimpoint T2 style red dots, and the mount is the same. So for all intents and purposes, from what I can tell, this is the same as the Unity. I'm sure the metal construction is not as good, or the metallurgy of the aluminum is not as good. The anodizing, I'm sure, is not as good. But again, to test it out, I just bought it just to kind of see if I liked it. And I will say, as far as just shooting with night vision and just kind of, without night vision, I don't mind it, but it's not my favorite. So it's a little bit higher. Hopefully you can see on here. You can kind of see, yeah, maybe there-ish. So you can see it's a little bit higher, maybe about, say if I were to estimate this, sorry, it's hard for you to see. I would say it's about a ½ inch higher, maybe a little bit more than that. For me, it's a little too tall. Definitely usable, and with night vision, I would say this is probably a little bit better. But without the night vision, my head is a little bit high. Now, if you have a really tall neck, this might be a better option for you. But if you have a short neck, I probably would stay away from this. And again, I can still get a cheek weld with this, but it's more of a chin weld. So if you've ever shot an LPVO with a red dot mounted on top, it's not as bad as that. Like, this is better than that option. You actually can still kind of get a cheek weld, but it's going to be kind of the really lower end of your cheek. So just kind of know that going forward. Some people talk about how you can't go prone with these. You can. It's not as comfortable, and again, it depends on how thick you are, or how much body armor you're wearing, or how thin you are, or whatever. So again, everything's going to come down to your body type, your gear. There's no one size fits all. So that's one of the reasons why I bought this, because I just wanted to try it out, but I didn't want to pay $200 to try it out. So again, for 22 bucks, I would say this is worth it. I didn't notice any fit and finish issues. I didn't have any problems with this being cockeyed like the first of the other ones were. Also, it does have, hopefully you can see this on here. I have enough room. So you can see the rear sight is right there. So this replaces your rear iron sights, which I still have on here because, you know, whatever. But they do line up with that. Are they usable? Sure. Have I actually used them? No, I haven't sighted them in for anything yet. I'm getting to that, but yes, they do allow you to use this as a rear sight. All right, so there is a small hole right in there where you can actually see that there's a front sight post, and on the underneath side down here, you can see in there, there's actually a small hex screw that's the bottom of that front sight base, and you just unscrew or screw it back in depending on how you look at it, and you can screw the front sight that's actually built into this up or down. Now, because it has a rear sight and I have a fixed A2, like there's no reason for me to use that front sight, so all I did was just lower it to the point where it's out of the way of looking through here. So and this rear sight is, hopefully you can see it on here, it is adjustable, so that's what this right here is. It can be adjusted left or right. So if I said there were clicks earlier, I lied. There are not clicks with the front one. I remember incorrectly. There are clicks with the rear one, but not with the front one. So there's no detent, but it is very snug whenever you're loosening or raising it. So just know that. Again, they're backup sights. What do you? And it's $22. What do you expect? But this did give me a good idea of whether or not I like this or not. So again, if you are doing primarily night vision shooting, this would probably be the way to go, because again, it's kind of clear back here and it does get it high up. Once I get that Unity magnifier riser, I'll kind of put that with it and, you know, give you an update on maybe all that stuff combined. That's probably when I'll do the Unity knockoff videos all at the same time. This is just going to be, you know, kind of what height I would suggest. So again, this works. It's not my favorite, but it's not as obnoxious as I thought it would be, and it's actually more comfortable than I thought it would be. But again, my favorite is going to be this right here, this height. So I have no idea what the measurements on these are. I just know that's my favorite. So hopefully that kind of gives you a good, I don't know, reference or idea or direction that you want to go. If you're looking to try out some of these things, I'll put links down below again so you can try them out for yourself, see what you like. Because again, all this stuff, all of this stuff cost me all of around maybe 50 bucks total, you know, to try it all out and see what I like best. And that to me is the biggest benefit of buying the stuff, and I guess me testing it all out, is it really showed me what I liked best, you know, for really inexpensive prices. And again, later on you can buy the real thing if you want, but I will say, like, this has held zero. I've only taken it out to the range twice, so I mean, I've shot maybe 100 rounds through it and I haven't had any problem. Oh, well, I actually lied. There was one issue I had with it. So underneath here, you're not going to be able to see this, but the screws that hold the Holosun to there's 4 on the inside of here, and there's holes that go all the way through, and it uses a really long Allen key to be able to reach those. The screws this thing comes with are, let me see if they're in here. Yeah, they are. So the screws this comes with, you can see they're tapered, so the head has an angle, you know, going both directions. It's like a slope. The screw holes that are in there do not have a taper in it. So you're going to have to use the screws that come with the Holosun that are flush on the bottom of the head. Why they include screws that you cannot use, I have no idea. But I noticed that whenever I was trying to tighten it in the first time, you're going to have to use the screws that come with the Holosun, or screws that have a flat bottom or a flat head, if that makes sense, on the bottom, not the ones that taper, kind of like a funnel. So that's just kind of a side note. And here, in case you're wondering, is the Picatinny rail mount riser. Here's all the information for it. Kind of tells you kind of what it is, but it's made by UTG. So hopefully, you know, kind of gives you some info that if you're interested in. But again, hopefully this kind of helped you all out. If you have any questions, comment down below. I try to make stuff as practical and useful as possible. So if you guys have any ideas for videos or anything, just let me know as well, and I will try to make those if possible. Anyways, hopefully you all have a good one.